Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about D&D. Alright, so first up for T&D today, I have my I'm Just a Woman with a Master's Degree That Loves Tacos mug, and in it, I'm realizing I don't have the box sitting in front of me, because I forgot it in the other room, is more of the vanilla chai from Bigelow that I had, I believe it was last week? I think it was last week. It's very good. It smells very strongly of vanilla, but it tastes very strongly of chai. So if you're into that, it's good for you. Anyway, what we are talking about today, it is, of course, Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, if you care about it at all, I guess. But today we are talking about how to bring a Valentine's Day kind of thing to your tabletop. In so much as like we're kind of talking about how to bring a holiday to your tabletop, but we're focusing on Valentine's Day a little bit more specifically for this one, at least. I'll probably do more of these around other holidays because little ideas here and there are always helpful to, DMs, players who are collaborating with their DMs, etc. So anyway, let's go ahead and let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so bringing a Valentine's Day type thing into your tabletop setting, your D&D setting. So first off, you kind of have to make it. You have to make it less of a romantic idea and more of like a functional kind of thing. Like you have to strip it down to what is Valentine's Day, what are you trying to capture with this that is reminiscent of what is happening in real life, etc., etc., etc. All of that. And so when I think of it, because I've actually done this, I think that you are trying to capture sort of the essence of like celebrating partnership almost more than anything else. And in my game, I actually have put in my home game, I have created like its own calendar and everything like that. But I have put the holiday in what is essentially the equivalent of like October, because it serves as sort of like a mark stone to help transition into the winter months where people are going to be facing a lot more isolation because they're not going to be able to be out and about quite as much in fantasy medieval times kind of thing. They'd probably be stuck at home a little bit more often because they don't have snowplows and stuff like that. Though I should figure out how to make fantasy snowplows. Not the point. And so it encourages like this companionship, this partnership kind of thing. It encourages essentially finding another individual with which you will be able to spend the winter, at least, if not, continue past that. That is sort of the idea that I was looking to capture with that one for my game. You might have something else that you want to be like specifically trying to hit on in your fantasy Valentine's Day. That's up to you. I'm not here to tell you what to do with that. And so I'll use mine as sort of an example for the most part through like in this episode here, because it is the one I have obviously direct experience with. But let's talk about it a little bit. So I went the route of linking it to a god. In my world, there is the Greater Circle, quote unquote, which is a circle of 12 gods that sort of serve as like the god committee, for lack of a better way to say it. And on there is Sune. I don't know how to pronounce the name exactly, but she's the goddess of I think it's love and beauty. And so it made sense to have it be her holiday. And so in doing so, it is actually like a holy day in the world. So if you are looking to, make it a big deal worldwide or through a certain denomination of religion, linking it to a god is a really good way to like make it grounded almost, and make it like make it something real in the game, something that would be widespread as opposed to like a cultural thing. Which, if you want to make it like a cultural phenomenon, like it is celebrated in this specific country or this specific subset of like this area or something like that. You can do that just as easily. It is less a celebration that is dedicated to a god then, and more a celebration that is dedicated to whatever ideal you have picked to build the holiday around. Um, in that, it's important to kind of think about what sort of rituals might be associated with it, and what sort of things might be going on. So, in terms of rituals, it could be good to have sort of a standing idea of what a marriage ritual would look like in your game, if your game has marriage in it at all, or some kind of like partnership ritual or something like that, or like courtship rituals, anything in that sphere that would sort of promote that idea, if that is the idea you're going for. Honestly, the best example I can think of for a traditional yet non-traditional sort of ritual for marriage specifically in a fantasy setting is actually not in my D&D game. It is the one that you find in Skyrim, where you like present an amulet to somebody to show interest, and then if they show interest in return, you can like go to the temple and go through the specific ceremony, that kind of thing. It is a reskinned version of essentially just proposing to somebody, but like if people don't stop to think about it like critically, it is this wildly different concept and experience. And so it's not a bad idea to have a couple of those kind of rituals going on. Now, as I mentioned before, your holiday here can be about just companionship in general, or partnership, or something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be linked romantically necessarily. If that is the thing you were trying to capture in your fantasy Valentine's Day. So it doesn't have to result in like, marriage or anything like that. It can be like, hey, you're cool, let's spend some time together kind of thing. And that is perfectly fine to have be your alternative. It build your world in the way that you want to see the world, I guess. I don't know. So in terms of stuff to have going on during this day, it does kind of depend. Not entirely, but there will be influences based on what it is that you have decided is going to be the influence of this day on your game world. I inhaled tea. Wow. So if you are, centering it around a god, there is likely going to be some kind of religious connotation to pretty much everything that goes on, including but not limited to there being some kind of religious service ultimately, because they're worshiping a god, they're celebrating a god and their message to their world. So you're going to need to kind of remember to bake that in there somewhere. It doesn't need to be in like the massive general public celebration. There might be like allusions to it here and there, but largely you are going to find that obviously in the more religious districts of whatever city, town, etc. you're in. If it is based on the ideal of companionship, partnership, whatever you have decided there, then you don't need to remember to bake that in, really. You might want to think of one or two very specific things that are going on, or that would be scheduled and be recurring items, essentially, that are happening. Because there is, with a holiday, there is kind of this expectation that there is going to be a tradition associated with that holiday. That doesn't necessarily need to be true, but it might be. And then in terms of like more general things to have going on, my favorite for every holiday is like a festival or a fair or like a carnival or something like that. For this one, I think it actually does fit pretty well because there is the like, I mean, I was gonna say 80s movie, but it's movies throughout the decades, stereotype of like people going to the boardwalk for the theme amusement park, there we go, and winning the stuffed whatever for whoever your partner is, and so you can throw that in there. Like if that is something that you think your players want, or you as a player want, express that to your DM or as a DM, go ahead and work that in there. Like it can be part of like the courtship rituals or something like that. I don't know if you really need like a mechanical purpose for it. But I mentioned, I think in season 1, that just having a carnival or a festival or something like that is a good time. But just have it be themed around whatever the main pillar of this holiday that you're building is going to be. So for me, if it's the message of this goddess whose love and beauty is her her domain, then it's going to be centered around love and beauty. Like, why not? If it's about partnership or companionship, it's centered around partnership or companionship. If it's centered around family, you make it about family. Like that. It's just kind of that mentality of going back to those the first thing I said, essentially, where you pick the influence of it, and that's what you're going to theme most of it around. Now, you can just have an episode You can have a session that is just that. It is just celebrating the holiday, having the festival, whatever you're going to do with it. It could take 10 minutes in game. It could take a full game length or more. That's kind of up to the players around the table and the DM. But if you are looking for something like a little bit extra to put in there, and you're looking for like an adventure hook in there, maybe, there are two main routes that I always immediately go to when I start thinking about essentially a romance plot, right? That's essentially what you're looking at here. There is your significantly more traditional, with like your Romeo and Juliet kind of thing, where there are two people who love each other, though Romeo and Juliet knew each other for not that long. But not the point. Two people who love each other, and their families are fighting, and so it could be up to the party to help, like, either get them out of the city. It could be up to them to help them, reason with their families, anything like that. You could raise the stakes by having like their families be powerful and influential, and have the guards like hunting for them, and maybe seeing the party with them, and then being after the party, that sort of thing. Just sort of making it like a runaway duo kind of thing. Or the one that I actually enjoy more, the flip side of that one, is the like villainous quote unquote pair, like the outlaw pair, essentially, where you've got essentially a Bonnie and Clyde type of thing going on here, where maybe every year on this holiday that is centered around whatever love companionship kind of thing you got going on, this duo shows up and robs the place or something like that. And it has become kind of their calling card to do this, and so everybody is on high alert, but they are still successfully like doing whatever crime you decide it is. And so the party has been recruited to help plan and catch these people this time around. And so there's like an element of prep work, obviously plenty of roleplay opportunity in there, in addition to potentially having chase sequence, combat sequence, that sort of thing, which is always fun for pretty much everybody. So those are my two like quest ideas to just sort of toss out there for you. They are not original in any capacity, really at all, because I literally reference the source material that I would have come up with them from. But just, ideas for you. So yeah, anyway, bringing it back in. Go ahead and make yourself holidays in general. If you want to make yourself a Valentine's Day kind of thing, make yourself a Valentine's Day kind of thing. Nobody's going to stop you. In fact, it helps your world feel more fleshed out, and I highly recommend being able to do that, because it's a lot of fun, and having that sort of thing like locked in and sort of sitting off to the side will let you just kind of pull it if your players are either moving too fast somewhere, or you need something to pad something out. So I mean, they're a really good way to do that, honestly. Holidays are a lot of fun, and it helps make your world feel alive. And players, if if you have a desire to have holidays, or you are connected to a god and you think they should have a holiday or something like that, talk to your DM too. I have plenty of holidays in my game. They just aren't necessarily always relevant to all of the players. So we do the ones that they really care about. Anyway, that is everything I have to talk to you guys about on that today. Next up, we have all of our streams, shows, podcasts, etc. that are coming out today. It's Monday, so we got a pretty long list. So stick with me on this one. We've got the Paper Dungeon, Flavor City, which is my show, obviously, on YouTube here. If you're on YouTube, if not, my YouTube channel if you're on podcast. So the Paper Dungeon, Flavor City, Chromatic Dice, Beyond the Realms, Unprepared Casters, Greetings Adventurers, Bards of New York, Hapless Heroes, Iwin Adventures, Cast Party, Three Black Halflings, Hello from the Magic Tavern, King Leo D&D, Anti-Heroes Anonymous, and the Tabletop Tavern. Now, the Tabletop Tavern is run by my very good friend and the other half of my she plays my sister in Sidetracked when we get that up and going here. Jenny, she's amazing. She's a fantastic DM. Highly recommend checking them out. They launch today, actually. Their first episode for this second season goes live today. Highly recommend checking it out. I know most of the people in their cast. They are phenomenal people. They are fantastic players. Definitely check them out if you get the chance to. And check out all of these shows. They're great. People putting themselves out there and putting themselves on the internet. It's worth taking a look at least, or listen, whatever it is. Because D&D's fun, and everybody needs to have more D&D in their lives, and we should support other D&D people. Anyway, that is now everything that I have to talk to you guys about today. Thank you so much for making me part of your morning routine. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much in particular to my patrons. You guys are the ones that make this show possible. I couldn't do it without you. If you would like to become a patron, or you're interested in becoming a patron, there's a link to it in the description of this video/podcast, whichever way you are consuming this media. So yeah, thank you very much for that ahead of time, and thank you very much to Arcane Anthems for the amazing background music. You can find their stuff on Apple Music, Spotify, or Patreon. Go check it out. Music really helps add ambiance to your tabletop game, and that is the majority of the content that they produce. Anyway, all that said, don't forget everybody, drink tea, play D&D, and keep on rolling.